It's that time again. So for those of you guys who are new to the channel, this is actually part of my series where I take any random page from the D&D Monster manual and try and sculpt it in my own like special style. So here we are. And with that, we have an ancient white dragon. Wow. Episode 2 of my Dungeons & Dragons series, and here we have a literal dragon. Who would have guessed? So ever since I was a kid, I've always loved dragons, so it's something I've always constantly been doodling. And say whenever I'm even feeling like sort of like creatively drained or something, I'll always revert to doing like say a dragon or a demon. So like these things are like bust-wise something I'm very like used to doing. I don't actually do many like full body dragon sculpts, so this is actually a really good opportunity for me to actually just practice that because it's a great way to incorporate like multiple animalistic forms together, as well as just like understanding a compound visual like cohesive design. Because, like, that's fundamentally all what dragons really are. Yeah, because they share, like, a lot of elements from sort of, like, felines, like, big reptiles, as well as, like, just avians. So trying to wrap all that into one just for, like, this sort of project, chef's kiss. And that's purely just from the visual side of it, because, like, when you actually look into stuff like this, especially, like, sort of, say, dragon lore as a whole, it's actually so rich that, like, how every mythology actually has, like, dragons to some extent. So they're a very wide spectrum of a design. And, like, trying to incorporate, like, all these sort of different elements into it to actually try and make something visually distinct as your own, what fits into, like, sort of the pre-established notion of what a dragon is, honestly, it's really fun to me. Like, I actually did look a lot into, like, traditional dragon lore from like how they arranged from like different parts of the world, as well as like actual D&D lore itself. And oh man, dude, it was actually so much fun looking into the lore behind dragons in D&D. Especially like I found the concept of the chromatic dragons all coming from like a one singular creature like Tiamat so interesting. And like from that, I think as soon as I'm actually done doing all 5 of the chromatic dragons, like the black, white, red, green, and blue, then I probably will do my own version of Tiamat. So like as soon as I actually get all those pages done, I will definitely be working on all of those. And that actually gives me a really good time to actually now finally start talking about the thing I'm making now, the white dragon. Well, more specifically, the ancient white dragon. And like from what I gathered about like how white dragons tend to operate, they actually are the most animalistic and primal sort of dragons. And that does make sense due to the environment what they're living in. Because think of it like this: if you're in a harsh like climate, a frozen tundra, if you will, like you're more likely to actually have to focus and prioritize like all base survival instead of like interpersonal and sort of just like higher functions and stuff like that, just because all of your energy would be going into making sure, hey, I don't want to starve to death. And like that's a great element I was actually trying to incorporate in this, because I wanted this one to not have like as much personality as I want to give like other dragons, and this one to sort of feel like it's a predator watching you down. And that's where I actually got a lot of inspiration for the sort of animalistic elements I wanted from this. So I began to look into like more Arctic-based predators and just things that operate in like colder climates. And something what did catch my eye a lot was actually polar bears as well as like snow leopards, because it's not just the sort of size and like predatory nature, it's more of like the isolation of how they all operate. For example, most of them tend to not really work in herds or like packs or something like that. They're very isolated hunters. Like, say, I'm pretty sure, like, most of the time they have an interaction with, like, another member of their species that's either to, like, defend their territory or to, like, procreate. There's not really much of a social circle they have, and that's something what really does, like, work well for, like, a white dragon, especially from everything I was reading from them. So that's why I then try to incorporate such things as their frame and just other stuff like that. And say from the polar bear pretty directly, I actually then took its paws, because apparently like something a white dragon's really good at is walking on ice, because it's able to spread the weight of like its entire body throughout its like very widespread paws. So I thought, okay, polar bears are like one of the heaviest predators we have. They walk on ice. Let's just like sort of steal that. And that's like a really good thing to actually keep in mind whenever you're actually designing something. Just feel free to steal from nature, because it understands what it needs more to work than whatever we can really do. Like, hey, that thing had like millions of years to evolve. I'm pretty sure it's probably easier for me to look at that and take that instead of like trying to come up with myself. And then once you actually have the thing you're trying to make down, that's when you actually begin to then augment it. Say, for example, I was like making these claws more serrated because, hey, I think it looks cool. There's nothing ever wrong with just like adding something to a design because you think it looks cool. And just it just shows a reflection of yourself to some extent. Like, hey, yo, I think serrated claws are awesome. What can I say? And something else I think would be pretty cool is if you actually give me a like and a follow if you want to see any more of this, because I really enjoy making stuff, and like by sharing stuff like that, it actually facilitates me a way to actually make more and more things. So, hey, yo, let's see how well this goes, because I really do want to be doing this more. And yeah. And I feel you guys should really appreciate the fact I managed to withhold that until like halfway through the video instead of like doing it first thing. So I know, I'm just saying, I'm amazing. Thank you. And now finally actually back to the dragon design. From working on wings and stuff for a while now, I've realized like, hey, they're just arms. So a really quick tip I feel if you want to just make wings quickly if you're doing a sort of like dragon like this is actually just getting the arms and augmenting them in a way, because they all follow a very similar base format of they have the sort of shoulder joint, then they have the sort of like bicep bit, and then the forearm, and then the hand, what then splits off into like all this or like different wing segments. So that's definitely something to keep in mind the next time you're ever making anything like this. And that's something like I've realized a lot more as I've sort of like grown as an artist and been doing this a lot longer. If you're able to save yourself a bit of time here and there, go for it. Like, who's really going to penalize you? It's your own work. Like, it's a very big difference of just like augmenting something you've made versus like actually just like full on plagiarizing and like taking off from other people's works. So if you're able to make your life a tad easier, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. Like, something I've done recently, if you're following any of like my short form content, is how I've been talking about like this pose dummy I've made recently. Yeah, and how I love using it just because it gives me a very quick and easy way to build base meshes of stuff. So when I actually go to like humanoid characters for this sort of series, I more than most likely will be using that in some capacity just to save myself a bit of time, because I've been working on this guy for a while now, to the point where it's going to be in multiple parts because I felt bad for how much of a hiatus it has. So I'm more than likely going to be doing this in multiple parts just so I actually have some like actual stream of content coming out. Because I think it's been like 3 weeks to a month since like my first video on this, and I feel really bad it's taking so long to actually just finally sit down and have the time to do another one. So I'm actually going to try and like actually work on a content strategy where I'm at least like uploading 1 or 2 actual videos per week. Because I've been doing like live content and I've been really enjoying doing that. I really like having the VODs posted up afterwards. So I'm actually going to try and like edit those down and actually just do an actual video of it each and every week. So yeah, let's see how that goes, because I am going to try and force myself to do it, because I have a goal right now of trying to get my actual time hours done and then go from there. Because a dream's nothing unless you're willing to put the work into it. So yeah. So now that some of that cringy ass anime talks out of the way, let's actually talk about a different anime inspiration I had for this. So as you know, like most fantasy properties like have some callback to Tolkien and on D&D. I thought for like Ancient White Dragon, it might be fun to actually look at like a Blue Eyes White Dragon for a head crest to some extent, because they are fundamentally based around the same sort of creature. So trying to develop something around that idea, because it's fun, because a lot of designers tend to actually like have a lot of inspirations from their childhood, but then take manifest in their actual work as they like grow up. And something I really liked as a kid was Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't know, might try and augment that into it, as well as like trying to find a way to then like shape it into my sort of like own creation, because it's always fun to give an homage to something you like, but it's never enough to like make that be the full extent of it. So it's always worth it trying to elaborate more and more each time. Especially for when it comes to a dragon-based D&D lore, because looking into it, like the main like distinguishing features are always going to be the head, as well as like obviously the coloration of it. So trying to actually make the head like the most visually unique part of it is by far like a very crucial step in stage in all the sort of design process. As well as like, as I was saying, like there's obviously a big old difference between like its physicality, between this and like most other dragons. And since like there was this reference to it being like the smallest of all the chromatic dragons, I thought it'd be a really good idea to actually like give it like an absurd amount of bulk, kind of like a sort of like small pit bull or bully, XL bully, because they're like objectively very small dogs, but they're just so stacked. Like, what do you mean? Like, you look like you're about ready to like ask for creatine with your like dog food. Like, come on, why are you built like that? And that was something funny I really want to try and incorporate into this. So we're trying to like maintain this balance of it feeling like kind of small, but at the same time very, very powerful. That was a very like hard, but honestly fun challenge to have. And I feel like having this sort of challenge is like a big point of the series to me, because a lot of these designs are stuff I typically wouldn't like think of like straight out the bat. Like, for example, my Invisible Stalker. Realistically, that's something I would have never done. So like having like the reason to do it is like challenge enough as well as like actually trying to explore like all these different like mediums and storytelling, via the design, because that's all what really design is at the end of the day. It's just visual storytelling. So learning how to incorporate that and expand upon it for different creatures, different like species and stuff like that, is by far something what's going to push me a lot harder as like a character and creature designer. So I'm really glad I'm doing it just for that reason alone, as well as like, hey, I like making stuff, so there we are. As well as, hey, if you like seeing me make stuff, it may be worth it going to check out my Ko-fi as a way to try and like help me facilitate the way of actually spending more time creating stuff like this, because I do love it. But annoyingly, I can't really pay the bills with it just yet, so I have to work like 2 other jobs. So hopefully if this takes off enough, I'm able to quit one of those and just be like, hey, yeah, guys, I'm a partial YouTuber or something like that. So yeah, let's see how that goes. As well as like, hey, for our lowest tier, you get a special shout out. I've been meaning to actually do these in videos now. But yeah, so hey, Holly, thank you for being my #1 Ko-fi supporter. I will appreciate it for a very, very long time. A lot of love. Also, thank you to all the other lovely members of my Discord who are very, very supportive. It really does mean a lot, and it does help me get the energy to make stuff fed. So thank you to all of you, and yeah, I do appreciate it a lot. And if any of you guys would be interested in joining said Discord, like go for it. It's a pretty nice community. It's a lot of people just sharing like stuff they make, and yeah, growing. Like there's this one guy called Charlie. He's constantly sharing his stuff, and he's always asking for like feedback. So if it's a place you want to sort of like try and grow as a creative yourself, like I feel it's worth it. So yeah, and wow, I'm fumbling stuff to say right now. Wow, I did actually try semi-scripting this video. Well, when I say semi-scripting, I mean I literally just like made a list of bullet points for topics I wanted to hit, and I hit all of them. So I feel the next move is probably just learn how to talk slower, because I've been told I talk like 1,000,000 words a minute. But hey, I'm not sure if it's ADD or I want to believe it's because my brain's super, super fast that my mouth struggles to keep up with it. So, oh yeah, no, that's literally like ADD. So yeah. I promise it will definitely get better the longer I do this for, because I come from a more like short format background, so like you have to try and get all the information across as quickly as possible there. So stretching it out is a bit weird for me, but we'll definitely get used to it. So if you guys want to continue to watch me grow and like see how well this actually progresses, or if you just want to see how like this figure turns out, definitely sub like for more. And yeah, and going back, if you want to like support me in a way that actually allows me to try and focus more time on this, definitely check out my Ko-fi and just lovely stuff like that. And as soon as I actually get a 3D printer ready, I will try to be selling like these guys as little proxies. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to be trying to move soon, and I'll get myself a garden where I'm able to test out resin prints and go from there. So yeah, definitely stay tuned, and hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely watch out for more. So yeah, bye, peace. And here's just a final little turnaround of the guy, so enjoy. Also, one last special thanks to our Ko-fi supporters. So thank you, Holly, and thank you for everyone on the Discord, and thank you guys for watching one last time. So later.